If we could determine that it was a life, would that change your perspective on abortion?
No, fuck them kids.
Did you say that again? What was that?
I said no, fuck them kids.
Referring to the babies?
Yes.
I don't think it matters what religious sect you are, whether
Including Satanism.
Satanism, Christianity, anything that's trying to control a woman. At least the Satanists, it sounds like, are not trying to control a woman's health care.
Right. Well,
No, don't touch it. If we could determine that a fetus is a life, if we could determine that scientifically, would that change your perspective on abortion?
No. No.
So if it was a life, you'd be fine with still killing it?
The fetus?
Yeah.
Like if it had a heartbeat? Yeah.
Hello everybody, this is Spencer Lindquist with the Federalist, and today we are here in downtown Los Angeles at a pro-abortion rally hosted by the Women's March. We're going to be talking to the marchers.
it says your own mother probably didn't want you either. Yet here you are being a disappointment. A bitch might say that, so I guess I'm the fat bitch to say that.
So the heartbeat, the brainwave, its ability to feel pain, none of that is a concern to you?
No?
What about when they struggle against the instruments that abortionists use?
That also rarely happens.
Does it bother you that it happens at all?
No.
So oftentimes people frame it as pro-choice. You said pro-abortion. Is there any difference between the two?
No.
No difference? Okay. Isn't it a little emasculating as a man to get a vasectomy?
No, I'm not emasculated by that at all.
By becoming sterile?
It's not sterile. You can reverse it.
Could you tell me the inspiration behind this phrase on your mouth?
Well, I always hear that, suck my whatever. These men are trying to say something so they can suck my.
So now I took my for-profit company. It's now 100% philanthropic art initiative. So all sales at .org go to supporting abortion access in Texas.
What do you think about the idea that children, people under 18, should be able to receive abortions without parental consent?
I think that's perfectly fine. I don't see why the problem. It's their body, their choice.
I've called out two organizations specifically. One is the Lilith Fund, and the other one is Avow. They're both in Texas.
What's the Lilith Fund?
The Lilith Fund actually funds abortions.
So would that be like the minimum age for you, 12?
I mean, as legally, yeah.
So the Lilith Fund, is that a biblical reference? Because I know there's that Lilith, the biblical figure. Is that what it's referencing?
I don't know where they got their name, but we picked two organizations. That's one of them, and they fund abortions for women who can't afford them.
Do you believe in the sentiment, my body, my choice?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on vaccine mandates?
I think that they should be done. I mean, I work for LAUSD. We have to get mandated.
Do you believe it's a clump of cells, or do you believe that a fetus is a life?
I believe that a woman has a right to choose what she does with her own life. So I put a woman first, period.
Regardless of whether or not a fetus is a life, that's your perspective?
Woman's right to choose, period.
Including if the baby is a baby?
Woman's right to choose.
Okay. Including if it's alive. So you're LAUSD, what, teaching or in education?
I'm a psychiatric social worker. Yeah.
And would you say that your worldview, your ideology, your politics influences your work at your job?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people say that social work is not political, but it sure is. It dictates a lot of things. I have kids who want to know more about sex ed and what they cannot do, and they have rights as well as children.
It says, don't like abortions, cut your dick off. Quite the message today. And what's the general age range in these schools?
I've gone to elementary, middle school, and high school. Yeah.
Is that a satanic symbol on the map?
Satanic, yep, the Satanic Temple.
And how else would you say that your politics influences how you interact with, in that environment?
I think it's all about the environment. I mean, we're in a school where we educate these kids, but we're not educating about the important stuff that's going on in the real world. So they talk to us about real situations, what they're going through in their communities, and this is something that has to be brought up as well.
Would you say that the rest of the Satanic Temple would agree with you on abortion?
I would like to think so, but I am not the Satanic Temple. I'm merely a member.
When it comes to the issue of abortion, some people think that it's a life, and other people say it's just a clump of cells. If we could prove that it was a life, would that change your position on abortion?
Absolutely not.
It is widely culturally accepted that Lilith is considered a vector for evil or for Satan or for demonic activity. Do you think that choice to name a pro-abortion organization after Lilith, do you think that was deliberate?
I don't know.
Would it make sense that that's like a nod to demonic activity?
I am sure that naming it after Lilith was deliberate.
So the pain that a fetus might feel at 24, 25 weeks, that's completely, that does not affect your calculation as to whether or not an abortion should be able to be to be completed?
Absolutely not. No.
How's it going?
You guys are a joke.
This is what a feminist looks like?
Look, yes.
Don't.
3 white men here.
There you go. Pro-abortion arguments from a Satanist. It doesn't get any more obvious than that.
Difficult decision for any woman to make.
Why is it difficult? Why is it
Who can have babies. Why is it difficult?
Yeah. If it's a clump of cells, why is it
Of
difficult?
course it's a difficult.
If it's a clump of cells, why is it difficult?
It's one of the most important decisions that someone can make, whether to carry a baby to term.
So you referenced the heartbeat, right? So once it does have a heartbeat, past that point, should we be protecting a life?
Women's right to choose doesn't say the doctor or somebody has the right to go in and see if your heart's beating.
Okay.
It's the right to choose about her body.
Regardless of like a beating heart, it doesn't matter.
Beating heart doesn't.
If it's a clump of cells, wouldn't it be an easy decision? It's just like a tumor.
No, it's not like a tumor.
So is it a baby?
I know you're doing.
So is it a baby? Is it a baby?
Is it a baby?
Yeah. Is a fetus a living being?
Once there's a birth, it's a baby.
If we could prove that it's a human life, if it's got a beating heart, it's got its own distinct DNA, if it's got its own brain waves, if it struggles against the abortionist instruments, if we can determine that it is a life, would you still be in favor of abortion?
A life is that's the issue, right? Because there's a life when sperm hits the ground, you know. So I think the way you're couching it isn't even.
Well, we know that, sperm hitting the ground is not the same as a baby that struggles against an abortionist forceps.
So you're like, come on.
Yes, I'm not wearing a mask.
We're living in a pandemic. You're all not wearing masks.
Are you vaccinated?
I am vaccinated.
Then why are you wearing a mask?
Well, why am I wearing a mask? Because it's safer, and there are
Biden said vax or mask.
Wait, yeah.
Biden said vax or mask.
There are people in my life who I care about who I would be putting at risk.
But you're vaccinated. What do you mean you're putting it? I thought you're vaccinated.
You can still get COVID while you're vaccinated.
So it doesn't prevent transmission. Why is it that you two are following us? If we could determine that the fetus was a living being, would that change your perspective?
Probably not.
What was that?
Probably not.
Are you two, you gonna be our groupies for the day, is that right?
Yes, I don't liberal left.
What was that? Okay, we got groupies, let's keep going. You're concerned with your daughter. What about your granddaughter or your grandson who might be, killed in the womb? Or do you have any concern for them?
Well, no.